Hey, welcome to the Elle Russ Show. My name is Elle Russ, and I am a #1 bestselling author and master coach. My intention is to inspire, educate, and motivate you with weekly content featuring amazing guests and solo episodes. Visit my website, elleruss.com, to learn more about me, my courses, free masterclasses, partner discounts, and much more. Enjoy the show. Hey, everyone. I want to expand and continue to hit home a point I've made many times. I did a solo episode on skeptics and skepticism at one point, and I want to elaborate on a situation because I had a very interesting conversation with a few people that I think elaborates this point so well. So if you're new to me talking about skepticism, and if not, I'm just going to do a quick refresh anyway, which is my second book, Confident as Fuck. I talk about how I have an alternative spin on a quote that was originally attributed to a Finnish composer. And he said, "No one ever built a statue to a critic." And my spin was, no one ever built a statue of a skeptic. Right? We've never seen a statue of a person and the plaque said, "Here is John Smith. He believed in nothing. He was always challenging everyone else's beliefs and what they thought was possible." And you don't see that because we've never erected a statue for that. We erect statues to honor people who lead the charge and believe in some of the things that most people think are impossible, right? We honor heroes in our world who go above and beyond what is considered possible and prove to us that it can be done. They conquered something, right? And so this goes for your life as well. Maybe you want to be an opera singer, but it's too competitive. It's so hard to get an agent, or so it's like the longer you continue to simmer in skepticism, the longer you hold yourself back from the unknown, unmeasurable, unforeseen, amazing probabilities that are possible in your life. And so there are probably several probabilities you already missed out on in life because you were a skeptic, focused on statistics or what the majority of people considered, to be realistic. So that's my general take on the topic. All right. So I have a friend who's about my age, and he has a son who's like 13, 14 years old. And the son is a budding football star. And my friend who's the father is supportive of the football career. He's not like a helicopter dad trying to push him into football, but the kid's really into it. So he's supporting this whole endeavor. And, they start recruiting kids for football at around this age. Okay. I mean, they start sussing them out around age 14. They start to offer them, potentially even college deals. They haven't even gone to high school yet. Right. So there's all sorts of NFL professional grooming and recruiting that happens around this time. And you have to go through so much to be a professional athlete, right? I mean, even if you make minor leagues in some sports or whatever, you might be unknown forever and get a good salary, but you can get injured. But to be a top player, wow, right? Maybe only 5% make it. Okay, so let's just go with that. Let's just say only 5% make it at professional sports. Anyway, so if the son came to my friend tomorrow and said, "I don't want to play football anymore," my friend would be like, "That's fine. I don't care. Just do whatever you need to do," right? But he's supporting this. Now, my friend's father was in town, and we were all, a few friends were over for dinner, and we're just chatting with his dad. Now, his dad is 80, okay? And he's retired. He was a school teacher and a college professor, and, lives off a nice pension and that kind of thing. Just very simple, safe life, very predictable, knew get the job, get the pension, be the teacher, retire, live a modest life, right? And he never really did anything other than that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just say that's the sort of never had any other ambitions or any other risks in life or anything that he pursued. That was just sort of his trajectory. Okay. And, the dad doesn't have a lot of money, but he's fine. So at dinner, the father was expressing to all of us that he was so worried about his grandson. Well, what if he doesn't make it? He could do all of this stuff, but then, these football players, they get injured. He could get injured before he even, gets a contract. And then where's he going to be? He has to have a backup plan. I mean, he has to go to a good school. If he doesn't have a degree, and all this worry about a 13, 14-year-old who has not even gone to high school yet, right? Or even been recruited by a team, right? So my friend, the father, said, "Actually, no, Dad, I disagree with you. I don't want my son to have a backup plan. I want my son to pursue something to its fullest. And if it doesn't work out, great. Then that failure, if he gets injured or he doesn't want to do it anymore or whatever, then he will have to pivot. And that in and of itself is incredible character building. Like, it's fine. If he fails and gets injured, that would probably be one of the greatest things. And I think the father was just not expecting that, right? And then a couple of us pointed out, because a few of us there are entrepreneurs and are successful, we were trying to explain to the father, we're like, it's very funny that you're sitting here telling us to have a backup plan because only 5% make it. But we are the 5%. You're talking to all of us here, and each of us are the 5%. You know? My friend was like, look, I took the entrepreneurial route, Dad. I took the unknown route, the risky route, the unsafe route. And I'd rather have my son learn from failure than to never go for a thing. And furthermore, you should be okay and feel safe that my son will be okay because he's being guided by someone who actually is not only able to do it, but who has become extremely successful by being the 5%, you know? And he's like, what have you ever taken a risk on, Dad? What have you ever attempted? You've never taken a risk. You've played it safe your whole life. And so we can look at you versus me. And in that moment, we were like, okay, that's a little harsh. The guy's 80. Let's maybe not. But, here's the thing. Both people are generally happy, the father and the son. But I think the father was almost in a way partially justifying his decisions in life as to why he might not have lived a fuller life, right? Like, well, I did the safe thing and that was the smart thing and that's always the smart thing. And here I am. And it was just interesting because the father was just spewing his old school pre-war, hey, choose the safe thing, put a roof over your head. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. But this guy is staring in the face of people that are 100% poster children against his argument, right? And my friend is extremely successful, at the risks that he's taken as an entrepreneur. He always gets up, onward and upward. Failure is feedback. And, so this is just really interesting. And I told the father, I said, listen, a backup plan is great. I said, but here's the thing. I started off with a backup plan. I had the best first plan, backup plan that anyone could ever have. But I got injured 2 years into it. So my football corporate career, my metaphorical football corporate career, I got injured and it ended pretty damn quickly at the age of 22. There was no backup plan for that. How many backup plans are you going to have? You're going to have backup plans for backup plans? Damn, man, right? Be sounding like a backup truck. Beep, beep. Just your whole life's a backup? And my friend said to his dad, what are you afraid of? What, he's going to be a gutter? He's going to be homeless? Like what? Why are you so fearful? Why are you so fearful? And it was just so wonderful to see entrepreneurs and 5% at the table sort of being like, it's not like that anymore. And if you really take these fears out, they're kind of crazy. Like, what is he going to end up destitute, homeless in a gutter because he got injured and then didn't get a, NFL contract or whatever? So you change your life, right? The funny thing is that his son, who he was talking to, did get injured at a professional sport and then became an entrepreneur. So the whole thing was very funny, but it's so interesting how people just have these ways of being embedded in them, this philosophy embedded in them. And then even in the face of people in front of them who completely defy their argument, it's like they can't even wrap their head around it. The father, I don't think he even knew what to do with that information that was coming at him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you could get injured, something could happen. So as long as you prepare yourself mentally, like, hey, these are the things that are a possibility, right? You could get injured and not have a career, right? Or you could get injured halfway through. You could get injured a year into your professional career. You could never get injured. It doesn't matter. Life is a crapshoot, right? You wouldn't think I would have gotten injured at a corporate job, but I did. It's not like it was a high contact job, sport. So, that's how you develop character and resilience, failure being feedback, going for the thing, trying it, taking the risks. What do you sacrifice when you are doing the safe thing? You get the job, the stable thing, the pension, you do the thing, you don't take risks because risks are stupid based on percentages. So, you guys who know my paleo primal health world and understand that a little bit, it's like a little bit of the biology stuff, right? It's like for the biohackers out there, the funny thing is that, it's like 95% of the doctors with thyroid will tell you this. And you know what? Really, the 5% are the ones that really know what's up. That's why so many people are suffering with thyroid problems. That's why I'm out here, not a doctor, being a thyroid expert. That shouldn't happen, but it is. So in some cases, we don't want to really go with, you want to go with the 5%. Some cases you want to go with the 95%. You know what? If you've got like a serious infection and a fever, that's the hospital and some IVs are probably what you need. Maybe at that point, taking some colloidal silver, yeah, it's not going to work. Maybe you need Western medicine at that point, right? At that point, you need to go with the 95%, right? And what's funny about this guy's father is that he's been told that salt is bad for his heart. And so he's trying to avoid salt, but actually sugar's the worst thing for your heart. And the guy's eating sugar. And so it's funny, he's going along with the 95% with his health. And so he's still sort of staying in that, like, well, I'm going to go with the majority. I'm going to go with the majority. And by the way, going with the majority is sometimes the right way to go. It's consensus. And it does make sense sometimes. And sometimes it doesn't. You have to be a critical thinker on that one to differentiate. Anyway, okay. So this is just, it kills me because I know so many people are not even going for the thing because of statistics, right? And I'm not saying someone's going to make a statue of me because I go, do things that people didn't think was possible or something like that. But maybe metaphorically being a #1 bestselling author for thyroid or something like that is in some capacity a metaphorical statue, right? Some sort of nod. So, we've got this guy, he's 80. No one's expecting someone that age to maybe learn and grow and get out of their stagnant old thinking. I mean, I'd hope you always want to learn and grow, but some people are just not like that. And then I also realized, so on the heels of this conversation, a few nights later, we met them at a restaurant, and the father was having trouble ordering a beer. There's so many choices, and he just wanted a plain beer and didn't realize how many options there were. So he ended up like ordering a beer, and then he like changed his mind. And when he changed his mind, we said, oh, well, we'll tell the waiter to cancel your beer order and we'll just get you a glass of wine. And he's, oh, no, don't fuss. No, don't fuss. I don't want to make a da-da-da. And I was like, oh boy, people pleaser. I'm out of here. So I got up and I went to the waiter and I said, hey, look, he actually doesn't want a beer. Can you just take that off and come back in a few minutes? Cause I think he wants a glass of wine. And I sat back down the table and I just said, I said, we speak up for what we want. That's how you do it. You know what I mean? And I just thought to myself later, and I was talking to my friend about it, is like, how many opportunities, how many things has your dad missed out on getting? How many times has he not gotten what he wants because he can't even speak up to change a beer order with a waiter? And then it made sense. Right? Like, oh no, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Don't take any risks. No, just do the safe. And then you never try for a thing. And I think we all felt a little sad because we realized like, and even my friend's father has probably not lived the life that he's really wanted to because he didn't think it was possible for him because he thought, oh, people get lucky. And if you're lucky, you're lucky, but you may not get lucky and only 5% make it. So, and the backup plan's an interesting thing. Now, whatever you think of the following comedian, I think it was her that quoted this like 20 years ago. It was Rosie O'Donnell. Someone asked her about her stand-up career and her parents, or if they approved of it. And I think she said they told her to get a backup plan. And I don't know if someone told her this or this was her response, but the response was no, because if I have a backup plan, then I'm going to pursue that. Like, I don't want a backup plan. Probably one of the smartest things she said. I thought it was really great. It stuck with me over all these years. So, it's like, what are you afraid of here? All the things in your mind that you're afraid of. Yeah. So what if they happen? Then you pivot. And the difference between this father and the son was the okayness with failure, the okayness with trying a thing and not succeeding, the okay thing with failure, that it's just feedback. You go for it anyway, even if the odds are against you. You go for the thing because it's in going for the thing that you learn and grow and discover other things. Perhaps the father, again, is justifying his lack of taking risks in this life because he played it safe. Look, 80-year-old mentality. We're not going to, it's like you can't totally pick it apart, right? These people aren't available for certain emotional conversations and other things that nowadays people younger can kind of have these conversations comfortably, right? But it's also prevalent in people who are 20, 30, whatever. So I would suggest as someone who wanted to be an NFL player or a famous tennis player or some kind of athlete, yeah, sure. If you can play for college and get an education, that'd be nice to have in your back pocket in case so that if anything does happen, you don't need to go back to college. But also, if that's not the case, that's fine. Then just know you might, if something doesn't work out, you may have to go back and start at square one and, spend another 4 years getting a degree if that's what you want or whatever. Maybe you get a business mentor and start a business. Maybe you, instead of spending the money on college, you spend it on a business. So you don't have to go to college to make something of yourself. It is sort of almost a rite of passage in our country, at least in the corporate business world. It's sort of like a high school degree at this point. It's not necessary what you major in as long as you sort of have the degree. So sure, could you go higher up the corporate ladder with a degree? Most likely. There's so many NFL players or football players, I'm sure you've seen it out here, and then they become like self-help people because they're like, I got injured, my whole career was done, and now I'm here to tell you. And it's like that was their biggest thing in life, that it was their biggest challenge, was that pivot, was that unexpected thing that happened on their way to the major thing they were pursuing full force. Like, I am the proof, my friends at the table were proof in front of this 80-year-old man that it's not accurate or really worth it to be fearful. So you got to try stuff, guys. You got to get out there. I think I said this in the last solo episode. It's like, if it doesn't work out, people go, well, what if I tried this and it doesn't work out? And you go, well, that's fine. Then you're right back to where you are right now, right? So you fucking fail. Please fail. Please go out there and fail. Go and try. Go for the thing. If you never fucking go for it, I talk about this in my confidence course, and I'm sure somewhere I've said it on a million podcasts. But I had this thing where there was a moment in time where I really wanted to be like a competitive stand-up paddler. I wanted to do like maybe, 3-4 stand-up paddle races a year. And I was just like, I don't know. I had this like later adult sports resurgent dream. And it didn't matter what my age was or whatever, right? Like not like limits on getting into the Olympics. And I was like, oh, I can do this. This would be so cool. I could do this a couple times a year. And I just had this in my head. It was like these athletic dreams. And so I saw that a race was coming up and I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing it. Told everyone I was going to win. By the way, I did win it. Long story short, though, I was 3 paddle strokes into this race and I immediately regretted it. Okay. So I want to do this thing. I'm thinking this is going to be part of my life. I go to finally do my first race. I'm like 3-4 strokes into this. And I'm like, this fucking sucks. I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. I'll tell you why. I love stand-up paddling on the ocean. It's lovely. This race was in the most beautiful section of Malibu coastline, Malibu, California, probably one of the most beautiful sections of coastline, arguably in the world. And it's gorgeous. And I love being out paddling to enjoy the scenery and hang out and have fun. So the fact that I was like 5 strokes in just racing, because I'm racing to get there. I remember being like, this sucks so bad. I wish I could just chill out and leisurely paddle this 10 miles and hang out and enjoy this. But instead, I'm doing it like as a means to an end that I've got to get to point B. But thank God I tried it, because in the first couple of minutes, I knew I never wanted to do it again. And I'm not sitting here now, maybe going, oh, I kind of wish I should have done that when I could have had the chance or whatever. No, I did it. And immediately found out I didn't like it. And guess what? That happens too. So you can't become too attached to these things you think you want, right? Because then they happen and you go, I don't want that. That's okay. That's okay. This is pivoting. This is failure. This is feedback. This is onward and upward. But thank God I did it. I tried it. At least I tried it. Because if I didn't, I tell you what, to this day, I still might be like, oh, what if and maybe I still be looking to go do it. I'll probably never do this shit again, man. But just fucking go for it, right? I went for it and I found out it sucked and I'm done. Great. That's fine. I went for it. And by the way, in the going for it, first of all, I intended to win and I did. So that experience was awesome. But it also is the move that increases more confidence. You go for a risky thing. You go for what you want, whether it works out or not. That act in and of itself builds self-esteem and confidence. which, like I've said before, is like compounded interest, keeps compounding on itself. You want more, you want more, you want it to build and grow. So, you know, sometimes, back to skepticism, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that you're going to be embarrassed if you fail? Or you're like, I took $2,000 out of my savings to invest in that and I blew it, it didn't work. Well, the smartest people I know and the most successful people I know just keep trying and take risks, like my mentor, Mark Sisson, celebrity health author and CEO and founder of Primal Kitchen Foods. And he's tried and failed a million times. He owned a yogurt shop back in the day. If you listen to the last episode of the Primal Blueprint podcast, which was the podcast I hosted for 8 years, go to blog.primalblueprint.com. And the first episode there you'll see is the last episode we did of that podcast with myself and Mark Sisson. And he talks about his journey with business a bit. He wanted to be an actor at one point. He wanted to be a sports newscaster. He wanted to be a pro athlete. He was a personal trainer. He started a supplement company and he just kept going. He tried, he failed. He had expensive failures and he had, minor ones too. But he just kept going with grit, with perseverance, with confidence. One time he started Primal Kitchen Foods, Primal Kitchen Restaurants, and the guy he got into business with on the franchising was like basically a criminal. He lost millions of dollars. But he still kept going. So I implore you to Lewis Howes, Lewis, Lewis, and then Howes. He's got an interview with Mark, and it's one of the best ones of Mark, I think. And it's Mark Sisson. If you just look it up on YouTube, Lewis Howes, Mark Sisson, $300 million health business. Just like type that in. And basically it's an interview with Mark where he's just pretty much talking about business. He's not talking about paleo, ancestral health, metabolic efficiency. He's literally just talking about all of the business things, all the things that happen in along his career as an entrepreneur from the beginning. And it's really worth it because midway through, he jumps back to his youth and you can really see an incredible pattern of, again, not being afraid of failure and not having fear. He just kept going. Boom. What did he do? He finally sold this company for over, $200 million to Kraft Heinz. Unbelievable, right? The other thing too is there's a famous quote by Mark Twain you've probably heard. And he says something, this is the quote. He said, I'm a very old man and there's been many worries in my life, most of which have never happened. I repeat that. I'm a very old man and I have had many worries in my life, most of which have never happened. So I was a shithead teenager. I got kicked out of high school. If you had a reason to worry as a parent, it was being my parent. Okay. I don't think they thought I was going to make it to 21. And I remember this one time I asked my mom, and this was like, 5, 6 years ago. And I said something like, hey, all those times I was a teenager and growing up or all, whatever, all the struggles, whatever was going on in my life, those ups and downs, all of the worries you had that you expressed during those times, all of the worries you had about what could possibly happen and whatever those things were. And I said, I don't want you to think about all of those worries and what they were. I just want to ask you a question. Take all of those. And I'd like to ask you, did any of your worries about me come true? My mother was like silent for 2 minutes. She goes, no. That's right. None of them came true. Now, look, that's not to say that there's not a parent at home right now worrying that their kid's not going to come home and the kid doesn't come home. Oh my God, shit, that does happen to parents, right? Kids die, whatever. Okay, but for the most part, what does it look like in your life? How about all your past worries? Have they ever fucking come true? The majority of them haven't. Let's be honest. They haven't. So if you're someone that's like, oh, I always fail, just my luck, then I would say, all right, well, you need to get the confidence and the self-esteem and get on that train, which is going to help you with intention and manifesting your dreams and desires and materializing goals. Absolutely. I find that at my age, I'm so grateful. I'm grateful that my, metaphorical athletic career, my corporate career, that I got injured from it. It was the best thing that did ever happen to me. I was pursuing just what I thought was safe to protect me. My life has been amazing ever since that happened. It was the biggest gift I've ever been given. I would never go back and change it. And now I see people in my life who've done the same thing, who didn't get injured at their corporate job. And now they're at my age going, what is it all about? What am I going to do? I'm not happy. What was this all for? I don't know, like, what my purpose is. But they played it safe. But I think a lot of people have regrets, and I don't want you to have regrets. I don't have any regrets. Even the regrets I have, like, let's say I was in high school and I was a shit and I feel bad about like telling my mom to fuck off. Okay, like, sure, I feel bad. Occasionally I'll be like, Mom, I'm sorry, I was a shithead teenager. But let's say I'm having a moment where I'm like, oh, I feel bad about that. Like, it's not a regret. It's all still a part of my life and learning. So at least you tried it. You learned along the process. On the heels of the intention episode, on the heels of last year's skepticism episode, what are you fearful of? And how many worries have you had that have never happened? Because I would guarantee 99%. And if all of your worries have happened, I'd be like, okay, shit, then you need to look at a lot of things, man. Damn. You know what I mean? But overall, I guarantee most of you listening, you're probably like, yeah, you're right. I mean, most of the shit you've worried about hasn't happened. Okay. I even had a recent thing where I was in a parking lot and I thought I lost my iPhone, and I had like a mini meltdown, like an illogical internal emotional meltdown. And my phone, unfortunately, wasn't password protected in that moment. So I was like, oh no, what? And it was in the car the whole time, but I had this like illogical thing where I was sent down, like, oh my God, my phone's lost, all the things that could have happened with it, right? And it's just like, hold on a second, give it a minute, right? Like, you don't usually drop phones. It's probably in the car. Even if it wasn't, this is not the end of the world. This is still a first class problem. You can call and get it turned off. Like, and I learned the lesson about like never even for a moment leave my phone password protected. And I was on a road trip and I did it in the car so that I didn't have to keep doing it. And then I forgot to password protect it after this long car drive. So yeah, okay, good lesson on that. But also it was just a couple of minutes and then it's like, come back down to earth. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. No one's dying. Do you know what I mean? You just give it a second. But what are you not pursuing in life because you're too fearful of the statistics? Please pursue to be the 5%, whether you make it there or not. You will get into the 5% if you keep trying for the thing, though. If you keep failing, but you keep trying for the things that you want to do, it's going to work out eventually. I've tried a bunch of different little things. No one would think that these little different things in life were valuable at all, because some of those things never provided rent for me or gave me money or were practical. They were never any sort of safe and secure career type of things, but all of those things led me to a paying career. It led into that, the culmination of those things. So no one could have ever guessed that from the beginning. It's the journey. That's why when you dive into it, right? It's like why my friend was trying to tell his father, I'd rather have my kid go for it and get injured and fail than never go for it, than never really go for it. Never really pursue this thing to its end to see where it goes. And I admire that way of thinking because I also think that way too. And I've been forced to think that way because I did get injured from my, corporate football career or whatever, right? There are calculated risks. Look, don't mortgage your house on a NFT. Okay. Yeah. There's going to be some informed decisions. You need to do critical thinking, right? I wrote a blog post about that. You want to make informed decisions, but sometimes you have to just jump into it. Get in there blind. It doesn't work all the time. Who cares? Pivot, move onward, upward, failures. Take some risks, guys. Take some risks. Don't end up 80 going, I really would have wanted to do that, but oh well. And then just chalking it off to like, well, some people were lucky and it didn't happen to me. Luck happens when you pursue a thing. It's rare that luck happens when you're just sitting around doing nothing. You have to be a part of this co-creation intention and making your own luck. You have to take moves, do pro-you moves, put a step out there. I put that step out there in that stand-up paddle competition and I fucking hated it. 4 strokes in, it wasn't even like 10 minutes in. It was literally like, I paddled like 4 times and I was like, oh shit, what did I sign up for? It was almost immediate. Yet just a second before, this was going to be like a part of my new life. I couldn't wait to be in Stand Up Paddle magazine. And I was like, oh, I'm going to, for real, totally had like these absolute athletic adult sports dreams because I've always had them. When I was younger, I kind of wanted to be a tennis player. I kind of, I'd have dreams of being an athlete. I never was passionate about it to actually pursue it, though. It was just sort of a lofty dream. The people that had the passion to pursue it are the Serena and the Venus Williams and, the other famous tennis players out there. But this one, I was like, no, this one I'm motivated to try. And I did and found out very quickly. So how I was thinking on the beach before I even got on the paddleboard for the competition was, this is going to be a new thing in my life. 4 strokes in, I was like, never again. Try the thing, guys. Try it. And it's okay if it sucks and you don't like it. So what? You know what I mean? So what? So you did it. And that's more than most of your friends and anyone else in your life can fucking say about their life. So who gives a shit what they say to you about it? You do it anyway. You do it anyway. If you don't like it and they go, well, you tried that, you didn't work out. I'll be like, yeah, at least I tried it. What have you not done that you've tried? I mean, like, I don't have people in my life, but I know other people do. So I'm trying to say, first of all, my game about don't share your multi-million-dollar dreams with $100 people. Okay. And even if you get kickback for like, oh, well, what about that time you thought you wanted to be a stand-up paddler? I'd be like, so yeah. So what about it? What are you trying to say? Well, you went for that and that didn't work out. Yeah. And I went for it and I had fun and I learned some shit and I gained confidence along the way because I actually took a fucking risk. What have you done? I mean, please pursue the things, take some risks this year. Get out of the fear of the 95% that don't make it. I am a 5%er and I used to not be, right? I was the person who was like, oh no, I'm doing the safe bet. I'm going to go to law school, become a partner, make money, support myself. I'm not getting into this game. I'm going to play the safest way. I planned all through college for my law school applications. Literally, I calculatively did things in college, knowing it was going to be on my resume for law school. I had the best first plan ever. I was on the speech and debate team. I was on student council. I was in student government. Like I did all things that would look good on your resume to get into law school. Like I planned and plotted my safe strategy. And then I got permanently disabled at the age of 22. I wasn't expecting that, guys. You do all the planning in the world, right? They say, oh, you plan and God laughs, or whatever the quote is. Plan all you want, do the safe thing. Maybe you need a backup for your safe plan. How about that? But instead, I would say do the backup first. Go for what you want. You can do it on the side. In some way, put a foot forward. And let's get out of this fear. And so, are you living in a backup life? And if you are, and you want to do something different, you got to get on it this year. I'm here to help. If you want to do private coaching, you want to take my confidence course. By the way, you can use code COURSE10 if you'd like 10% off any of my courses, the thyroid course or the confidence course. But the confidence course is really inexpensive, and I would take it because it's going to motivate and inspire and just, juice you up. And so maybe that's the thing that you do to get out of this. Either way, would love your feedback. Reach out anytime. And thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, please go on to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and write a review of the show. That would help me out so much. And thanks for listening, and I hope this helped. Hey, listeners. Over the years, a ton of companies have approached me to collaborate, but I will only promote companies whose products I believe in and that I actually use and consume on a regular basis. So let me tell you about some of my favorite companies that I can offer you discounts for. Rep Provisions, an amazing company doing incredible things for our planet, topsoil, and animals with regenerative agriculture. And it's my #1 source for quality pasture-raised meat and chicken. Visit repprovisions.com and use code L15 for 15% off. I'm also obsessed with a company called Carnivore Crisps. They make a lean, all-natural, and delicious alternative to conventional snacking, made with just real meat and real salt. Totally addictive, and my favorite ones are the beef brisket and the ribeye. Visit carnivorecrisps.com and use code PALEO10 for 10% off. I also love and regularly use Paleo Valley products. They make amazing supplements and delicious paleo products. I use the superfood greens powder, grass-fed beef sticks, the organ complex, and their bone broth bars. I love the lemon and apple. I also use their essential C complex and more. Visit paleovalley.com/promos/Elle Russ for 15% off. I also love Primal Kitchen. They make delicious paleo-approved, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and no refined sugar products. And I use them daily, from their collagen powders and sauces and marinades to their avocado and olive oil. So good, so healthy. Visit primalkitchen.com and use code L10 for 10% off. I also love paleo powder and use it almost on everything I cook. They make incredible seasoning blends, and they also have these incredible grain-free coatings that feel just like crispy breadings that you would have had prior to knowing that there's another way. So visit paleopowder.com and use code L15 for 15% off.